Welcome to Tales of Terror, the spine-chilling channel that will keep you up at night. If you're a fan of horror, suspense, and macabre, then you've come to the right place. Our channel features a variety of terrifying tales that will send shivers down your spine and make your heart race. So, if you're ready to explore the darker side of storytelling, hit that subscribe button and join our community of horror enthusiasts. We promise to keep the scares coming and the nightmares alive. Welcome to Tales of Terror.
Let's get started. A crowd gathered in front of Terminal 5 where screams broke out and people were seen running. In the chaos, two paramedics were trying to force their way through the crowd, and onlookers were staring in amazement. Meanwhile, an unknown person stood at a distance observing the situation. Soon after, paramedics exited the building carrying the body of a girl who committed suicide by jumping from the 9th floor, leaving broken bones and traces of blood on the floor. Strangely, the blood was not normal, but the blood on his ankle was black. As events unfolded, a figure appeared behind the window, as if watching from a distance. The sound of my alarm woke me up from a long night of trying to create telepathy with someone I cared deeply about. Despite many failed attempts, I refused to give up hope. Although circumstances prevented this person from responding to my feelings, I did come across a writer on social media who called him terrible and delved into telepathy. This mental process involves mentally connecting with another person, with the hope that they will experience the same thoughts, feelings, and dreams. It started with simple attempts that were spiritual in nature, but the process escalated as I began to cut myself, resulting in deep, bleeding cuts. During one session, I slipped into a state of unconsciousness and woke up to find my hands deeply cut and blood oozing all around me. Despite the danger, I am determined to achieve my goal of telepathically communicating with this person, even if it means sacrificing myself and possibly losing my life in the process. Although a normal person would give up such a dangerous pursuit, I lack direction in my life and am willing to risk everything for this one goal. While I was searching on the internet for the correct method of teleportation, a foreign site suddenly appeared in front of me. It was a new site, where the article had just been published. I started reading the article and watching some videos of people using the same techniques. The first video was of a little girl who created a circle of candles as her base. But something terrifying caught my attention in the video. Despite my fear, I continued to watch until the very end. The second video was of an older girl who drew a semicircle of red, which she later realized was blood. In the video, there was a cat without its head, and the girl's hands were covered in blood. After a few minutes, the girl became still, and she felt a shiver run down her spine. I watched with horror as the cat's corpse began to move, as if the cat's soul was returning to its body. Despite the horror I experienced, I couldn't resist the curiosity to experience the teleportation session the writer mentioned on the platform. So, I prepared everything needed for the session, including candles, pieces of black cloth, and a black thread with lumps of blood from a freshly slaughtered animal. I even used and killed my little brother's cat, though I was filled with fear and remorse that I had done so. I knew what I was about to do was dangerous, and there was no turning back. The clock struck midnight, and I took a deep breath, ready to continue the session. I started the session, and after a few minutes I closed my eyes. Suddenly, a nearby beep caught my attention. I heard a whisper calling my name, and it was so weird I opened my eyes. The electricity went out, and now my room remains. Even the candles you lit have fallen. I felt a strong wind blow through the open window. Oddly enough, the door disappeared and I found myself trapped in the room. I felt a presence hovering near me, and for a brief moment I felt a wave of intense heat followed by a sudden disappearance. I heard someone breathing heavily, but there was no one around me. When I stepped, my feet touched something sticky on the ground. I looked down to see it was blood, and a lot of it. Moonlight illuminated the room, revealing a strange-looking object spewing thick blood. The stench of blood made me nauseous. I was hesitant to open my eyes, but unfortunately I did. And that's when I saw him, the person I'd always longed to be with. But now, his appearance had transformed into a demonic beast. Half of his face was slashed, his skin flabby, exposing his flesh and bones. The other half of his face looked fine, and his eyes were sparkling. Suddenly, the narrowest wall in the room pressed against my body, and I couldn't move. I feel like I'm trapped in a tomb. The screams inside me are muffled. I sat on the floor with my eyes closed, but a monstrous figure approached me and whispered my name in my voice. It made me very dizzy and lose my temper, which led to my death. Although the moonlight was still visible and bright, it was already midnight, and I was alone. I couldn't understand what was happening around me. The phone network was cut off and I couldn't contact anyone. People disappeared, and the streets were dark and empty. Even the houses seemed deserted for years. Despite my screams, there was no one to hear me or help me. I felt like I was at the end of the world, and I had no idea what was going on. The only thing I can do is log everything I tried to send as a message to an unknown person, hoping the network will be back soon. But just when I thought everything would be back to normal, the screams came back, louder than before. I could hear them coming out of the darkness, and the only way to escape was through the open window. There was no other solution to the nightmare I found myself in.
Today's story is over. Our stories are not over yet. See you tomorrow in a new day of horror. Goodbye.